The CEO invited her elevator mechanic as a joke, but when he showed up, the whole room went silent. The laughter started before he even arrived. Inside a glittering ballroom filled with expensive suits, polished shoes, and confident smiles, people whispered and smirked about a special guest. It was supposed to be harmless fun, a joke, really. Just a way to entertain the room. But no one expected what would happen when the elevator doors opened, and he walked in. Because in that moment, something shifted. And the laughter? It didn't just stop. It turned into silence that no one could explain. If stories like this remind you how powerful kindness can be, take a moment to subscribe to our channel Corner of Kind Choices, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring more real, heartfelt stories that truly matter. Olivia Carter was the kind of CEO people admired and feared. She had built her company from nothing into one of the fastest growing tech firms in New York. She was sharp, decisive, and always 10 steps ahead. But somewhere along the way, she had also become distant. Cold, some would say. That evening was her company's annual gala. It was the kind of event where deals were made over champagne, where success was measured in applause and appearances. Everything had to be perfect. "Did you finalize the guest list?" Olivia asked her assistant, Megan, while adjusting her sleek black dress. "Yes," Megan replied, hesitating slightly. "Everyone important is coming." Olivia smirked. "Good. We need energy tonight. Something entertaining." Megan nodded, unsure what that meant. A few hours earlier, Olivia had been stuck in the office elevator. It had stalled between floors for nearly 20 minutes. She had been furious until the mechanic arrived. He was calm, quiet, focused. While Olivia paced and complained, he worked silently, eventually getting the elevator running again. "Next time, try patience," he had said gently, not even looking at her. That caught her off guard. No one spoke to Olivia Carter like that. "What's your name?" she had asked. "Daniel," he replied. There was something about him, his calm, his confidence, that lingered with her. Later, as she prepared for the gala, the memory turned into an idea. "Invite him," she had told Megan. "The mechanic?" Megan asked, confused. "Yes," Olivia said, smiling slightly. "It'll be interesting." Megan didn't argue, but she understood what it meant. This wasn't kindness. This was curiosity, maybe even amusement. The ballroom shimmered under golden lights. Executives, investors, and high-profile guests filled the space, laughing and networking. Waiters moved gracefully between tables, carrying trays of sparkling drinks. Olivia stood at the center of it all, confident as ever. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced, tapping her glass. "Tonight, we celebrate success. But also, perspective." The room quieted. "I've invited someone special," she continued. "Someone who reminds us that not all heroes wear suits." A few people chuckled. "Please welcome Daniel." There were scattered claps as people turned toward the entrance. And then, he walked in. Daniel wore a simple, clean suit. Nothing flashy. Nothing expensive. But he carried himself with quiet confidence. His posture was straight. His eyes steady. He didn't look out of place. He looked composed. The laughter faded. The whispers stopped. Because suddenly, the joke didn't feel funny anymore. Daniel stepped forward, scanning the room. His gaze briefly met Olivia's. She expected awkwardness. Instead, he nodded politely. No embarrassment. No hesitation. Just calm. Olivia felt something shift in her chest. "Daniel," she said, forcing a smile. "Thank you for joining us." "Thank you for inviting me," he replied. His voice was steady. Warm. Olivia gestured toward the crowd. These are some of the most successful people in the city. Daniel looked around. I can see that, he said. It's impressive. There was no sarcasm. Just honesty. A few guests exchanged glances. Something felt different. As the night continued, people began approaching Daniel. At first, it was curiosity. So, you fix elevators? One man asked, barely hiding his smirk. Daniel smiled. Yes. Among other things. Must be interesting, the man replied. It is, Daniel said. You'd be surprised how much you learn when people are stuck. The man frowned slightly. What do you mean? Daniel's smile softened. You see people as they really are. When they're not in control. The conversation ended quickly. But the words lingered. Later, Olivia found Daniel standing near the window, looking out at the city lights. Enjoying yourself? She asked. He turned. It's a beautiful view. She crossed her arms. You don't seem impressed by all this. Daniel shook his head gently. It's impressive. Just not everything. Olivia raised an eyebrow. And what is everything? He paused. Connection, he said simply. Kindness. The way people treat each other when no one's watching. Olivia felt a flicker of discomfort. You think people here lack that? She asked. I don't know them, Daniel replied. But I know the success without kindness feels empty. The words hit harder than she expected. For a moment, Olivia didn't know what to say. As the evening went on, something unexpected happened. People started listening. Really listening. Daniel shared small stories about helping an elderly woman who was afraid of elevators, about staying late to fix a system so hospital staff wouldn't be delayed, about choosing patience over frustration. Simple things. But powerful. And slowly, the room changed. The same people who had laughed earlier now leaned in, asking questions, reflecting. Because Daniel wasn't just talking. He was reminding them of something they had forgotten. Near the end of the night, Olivia stepped back onto the stage. She looked at the crowd. Then at Daniel. I invited Daniel here tonight as a surprise, she began. There were a few quiet laughs. She shook her head slightly. But I realize now, the surprise wasn't for you. The room grew still. It was for me. Daniel looked up, surprised. Olivia took a breath. I built my success on hard work, discipline, and ambition. But somewhere along the way, I lost something. Her voice softened. I forgot that kindness matters just as much as success. The room was silent. And tonight, she continued, Daniel reminded me of that. She turned toward him. Thank you. It wasn't part of the plan. It wasn't rehearsed. But it was real. After the event, as guests began to leave, Olivia found Daniel again. I owe you an apology, she said. He tilted his head slightly. For what? For inviting you for the wrong reasons, she admitted. Daniel smiled. You still invited me, he said. That counts. She let out a small laugh. You're not like anyone I've met. Maybe, he said. Or maybe I just see things differently. Olivia nodded. I'd like to change that, she said quietly. Not who I am, but how I lead. Daniel studied her for a moment. That starts with small choices, he said. The way you treat people. Every day. She nodded again. I think I'm ready for that. In the weeks that followed, something shifted in Olivia's company. It wasn't dramatic. But it was real. She started listening more. Thanking people. Recognizing effort, not just results. She introduced new policies focused on employee well-being. She spent time with teams she had never spoken to before. And slowly, the culture changed. Not because of strategy, but because of kindness. Months later, Olivia visited a building downtown. The elevator doors opened. And there he was. "Daniel," she said, smiling. "Olivia," he replied. They stood there for a moment. Different worlds. Same understanding. "You changed something that night," she said. Daniel shook his head. "You did." She smiled. "Maybe we both did." Kindness doesn't need a stage. It doesn't need applause. Sometimes, it starts in the most unexpected places, like a broken elevator, or a simple conversation. And sometimes, it takes just one person to remind an entire room what really matters. So the next time you meet someone, anyone, choose kindness. Because you never know who's watching. And you never know whose life you might quietly change.